Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff. Not a physical one, but a psychological precipice. An emotional abyss that swallows you whole before you even realize you've stepped too close. A single word, a careless glance, a reminder of something unresolved from your past, and suddenly you're falling. The rational mind vanishes, overtaken by an uncontrollable force. Anger surges like a wildfire. Anxiety gnaws at your insides. Sadness wraps around you like a suffocating fog. And just like that, you've lost control. But here's the unsettling paradox. It wasn't the event itself that pushed you over the edge. It was your mind's reaction to it. The insult wasn't tangible. The failure wasn't a physical wound. The rejection didn't change the laws of physics. And yet, your entire world tilted because of something intangible, your emotions. Now ask yourself, are you truly in control of your own mind? Or are you merely a puppet, yanked by invisible strings of emotion, reacting blindly to every slight setback and discomfort? Consider this. Two people experience the same event. One remains calm, collected, unshaken. The other spirals into rage or despair. Same reality, different reaction. What? This is where the mind starts to rebel. You might think, well, emotions are natural. They're just part of being human. And that's true until they start dictating your life. Until they control your choices, break your will, and sabotage your future. Until they become the unseen master pulling the strings. And yet, we live in a world that tells you to express yourself, to let it all out, to be authentic to your emotions. But here's the terrifying truth. Uncontrolled emotions don't make you authentic. They make you a prisoner. Think about the last time you regretted something you said in anger. The last time you let fear stop you from taking action. The last time jealousy, resentment, or despair poisoned a moment that should have been yours to enjoy. Who was really in control then? Now imagine a different reality, one where nothing can shake you. Where insults roll off like raindrops on stone. Where fear comes but does not paralyze. Where sadness visits but does not consume. Where your emotions, instead of being wild beasts, are tamed like loyal companions, there when needed, silent when not. This is not fantasy. This is Stoicism. And the ancient Stoics understood something that modern psychology is only now beginning to grasp. The key to emotional mastery is not found in eliminating emotions, but in owning them, mastering them, bending them to your will. So the question is, how do you do it? How do you go from being a slave to your emotions to their master? How do you stop reacting and start choosing? The answer lies in something ancient, radical, and almost entirely forgotten in today's world. A philosophy so misunderstood that most dismiss it as mere suppression. But in reality, it is the highest form of power a human can attain. And once you grasp it, once you truly see it, you will never look at emotions the same way again. The hidden truth begins here. You were never taught how to control your emotions. Not in school. Not by society. Not even by those who raised you. Instead, you were given two opposing and equally destructive messages. Suppress them. Be strong. Swallow your pain. Hide your anger. Never show weakness. Express them. Be real. Let it out. Scream, cry, and rage, because emotions should be raw and unfiltered. But here's what no one told you. Both of these approaches are traps. If you suppress your emotions, they don't disappear. They fester. They sink into your subconscious like a poison leaking into your bloodstream. You become numb, disconnected, incapable of forming real connections. Not because you don't feel, but because you buried your emotions so deep they rot from the inside out. On the other hand, if you let emotions run wild, you become a slave to them. Every insult wounds you. Every disappointment crushes you. Every moment of anger, sadness, or fear dictates your actions, pushing you into self-destruction. You think you're expressing your emotions, but in reality, your emotions are expressing you. The Stoics saw this. They realized something that most people never will. An untrained mind is a dangerous master. The mind's hidden weakness. Why you are not in control. The Greek philosopher Epictetus once said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the view he takes of them." Let that sink in. Your emotions are not caused by reality itself. They are caused by your interpretation of reality. The same storm that terrifies one man excites another. The same failure that destroys one person motivates another to rise. The same insult that enrages one individual is ignored by another. What does this mean? It means you were never reacting to life itself. only to your own thoughts about life. This idea is deeply unsettling, because if it's true, then the problem isn't out there. It's inside you. And that means the key to emotional mastery isn't found in fixing external circumstances, but in changing the way you think. Carl Jung understood this. He spoke of this shadow, the hidden, unconscious part of the psyche where we bury everything we refuse to face. Our fears, our insecurities, our unresolved pain. And the more we refuse to confront them, the more they control us from the shadows, dictating our emotions and reactions without us even realizing it. Friedrich Nietzsche took it even further. He saw that most people are ruled by resentment, a deep, unconscious bitterness toward life, a hatred of reality itself. And this resentment twists emotions into weapons of self-sabotage. We become angry not because we are wronged, but because we are weak. We feel fear not because the world is dangerous, but because we have refused to become strong. In modern psychology, Viktor Frankl echoed these ancient truths when he discovered something profound during his time in Nazi concentration camps. He saw that those who survived, the ones who endured the unthinkable, had something different. They had control over their minds. They could not control the horrors around them, but they could control how they perceived them. And that control made the difference between life and death. The prison of emotional reactivity. Look at society today. Look at how people live, trapped in their emotions. A single bad day sends them into despair. A minor inconvenience ruins their mood for hours. One insult online fills them with rage. The fear of failure stops them from ever trying. They are prisoners, not of the world, but of their own minds. And they don't even see the bars. Now ask yourself, how often has your own mind betrayed you? How many times have you overreacted? How many moments of happiness have been stolen by a single negative thought? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because of fear, insecurity, or doubt? This is the hidden problem, the real problem. Not life itself, but your own inability to control your perception of it. The ancient Stoics had a word for this, apatheia, not apathy in the modern sense, but a state of unshakable inner calm. A mind so disciplined that no external event can disturb its peace. A soul so strong that no emotion can pull it from its path. And here's the secret they discovered. This level of control is not something you are born with. It is something you train. But before we get to the solution, before we see how to break free from this emotional prison, you must understand something even more unsettling. Because this hidden problem doesn't just shape your personal life. It is shaping the entire world around you. And its consequences are far more dangerous than you think. Now take a moment and step outside yourself. Look beyond your personal struggles and observe the world. What do you see? A society that is drowning in emotional chaos. People lash out over the smallest inconveniences. Online arguments spiral into real-world violence. Depression and anxiety have become epidemics. Entire generations define themselves by their traumas rather than their triumphs. Why? Because most people have never learned to master their emotions. They are ruled by them, controlled by them, enslaved by them. And the consequences? They are everywhere. The age of emotional fragility. We live in an era where feelings dictate truth, where people believe that if something offends them, it must be wrong, where discomfort is treated as harm and disagreement as violence. Think about this. A society that cannot control its emotions is a society that cannot think. And this is exactly what we see today. Public discourse is dead. People don't engage in debate, they react. Instead of challenging ideas, they silence them. Instead of seeking truth, they seek validation. Outrage is currency. Media and corporations thrive on emotional manipulation. Headlines are designed to provoke anger. Algorithms feed us content that fuels our biases. We are not informed, we are inflamed. Victimhood is power. In a world ruled by emotions, the most offended person wins. Identity is no longer shaped by strength, wisdom, or resilience, but by how much one has suffered. This isn't just a cultural shift. It's a psychological crisis, the neuroscience of emotional slavery. Modern psychology has proven what the Stoics knew centuries ago. An untrained mind is biologically wired for emotional reactivity. The brain's amygdala, the center of fear, anger, and impulse, acts faster than the rational mind. When unchecked, it hijacks your thoughts, overriding logic with raw emotion. This is why people regret what they say in anger. Why fear can paralyze even the strongest individuals. Why sadness can convince someone that life is meaningless. But here's the terrifying part. Most people never escape this state. They live their entire lives trapped in their primal reactions. Their emotions dictate their choices, their relationships, their careers, everything. And society only makes it worse. How you are being manipulated. If you cannot control your emotions, someone else will. Politicians, corporations, and media outlets understand this better than you do. They depend on your emotional weakness. Because when people are ruled by emotion, they are easier to control. Fear makes you obedient. The more afraid you are, the more willing you are to trade freedom for security. The more likely you are to accept authority without question. Anger makes you predictable. If you can be provoked, you can be directed. If a headline can enrage you, you can be manipulated. Sadness makes you dependent. The more broken you feel, the more you seek external solutions, whether in consumerism, ideology, or addiction. This is not a conspiracy. It is a fundamental psychological reality. The weaker your emotional control, the stronger the forces that shape your life. And the consequences? They are far worse than you realize. The cost of emotional weakness. Look back at history. Look at the great civilizations that collapsed, not because of external threats, but because of internal decay. Rome fell when its people became indulgent, weak, and ruled by pleasure rather than discipline. The Weimar Republic crumbled when emotional desperation made people easy prey for extremism. The French Revolution spiraled into chaos when rage drowned out reason. It happens again and again. And today, we are seeing the same patterns. People no longer choose their beliefs. They feel them. They don't seek truth, they seek comfort. They don't build resilience, they demand protection. And in doing so, they surrender their power, not just as individuals, but as a civilization. Because the moment emotions become the rulers instead of the servants, society is lost. The silent war inside you. Now bring this back to yourself. How many times has your own life been hijacked by emotion? How many dreams have you abandoned because fear convinced you to quit? How many relationships have you destroyed because anger controlled your actions? How many years have you wasted in sadness because you believed it was permanent? This is the real war, not against others but against yourself. And if you lose this battle, you lose everything. But what if there was another way? What if you could break free, not just from emotional reactivity, but from the entire system that thrives on your weakness? What if you could become untouchable, so that no fear, no insult, no setback could ever shake you again? The Stoics had an answer, and in the next section we will uncover it. Imagine this. Someone insults you in public. A colleague undermines you in a meeting. A loved one betrays your trust. Your heart pounds. Your blood boils. Your mind races with retaliation. The storm inside you is violent, almost uncontrollable. But then, nothing. No outburst. No breakdown. No reaction. Instead, you remain calm, collected, unshaken. You see the insult for what it is, a reflection of the other person's weakness, not yours. You see the betrayal not as a wound, but as a lesson. You see the setback not as failure, but as fuel. You don't suppress your emotions. You command them. This is what the Stoics called apatheia. Not apathy, but the unshakable mastery of one's inner world. It is the foundation of true power, the key to absolute freedom, the only way to break the chains of emotional slavery. And it is the only rebellion that truly matters. Step 1. Realizing that your emotions are not yours. Before you can master your emotions, you must first understand a painful truth. Most of them are not your own. Think about it. Where do your fears come from? Are they yours or were they programmed into you? Why do certain insults enrage you? Did you choose to be offended or were you conditioned to be? Why does rejection feel like death? Is it truly unbearable or were you taught to believe that? From the moment you were born, you were trained to react. As a child, you cried and you were comforted. In school, you obeyed and you were rewarded. On social media, you raged and you were validated. Your emotions have been shaped, not by wisdom, but by external forces that profit from your reactivity. So, the first act of rebellion is this. Separate yourself from your emotions. Observe them as an outsider. The next time anger rises, step back and ask, why do I feel this? Where did this emotion come from? Do I want to keep it? Most people never do this. They identify with their emotions, believing that if they feel something, it must be true. But the Stoics knew better. Epictetus once said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." And the moment you grasp this, You reclaim the power to choose your reaction. Step 2. The art of radical non-reaction. What happens when you refuse to react? What happens when someone insults you and you don't flinch? When life throws chaos at you and you remain unmoved? At first, the world fights back. People expect a reaction. They push harder, desperate to break you. But then, something incredible happens. They lose all power over you. The insult becomes meaningless. The chaos becomes irrelevant. The external world no longer dictates your internal state. This is true strength. Marcus Aurelius lived by this principle. As Emperor of Rome, he faced endless betrayals, invasions, and political schemes. Yet, in his meditations he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." He understood that control over oneself is the only control that matters. And you too can become untouchable. The next time someone provokes you, try this experiment. Do nothing. Let the words hit, but don't absorb them. Let the moment pass, but don't let it dictate your state. And watch as your enemies grow frustrated. Watch as the chaos loses its grip. This is how warriors are made. Step 3. Training the mind like a warrior. Mental strength is not an accident. It is forged. Just as a soldier trains for battle, the Stoics trained for life. They practiced suffering before it arrived, so that when pain came, they were already prepared. Seneca called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Every day he imagined losing everything, his wealth, his status, even his life. By doing this, he stripped fear of its power. So ask yourself, what if you lost your job tomorrow? Would you break or would you adapt? What if your worst fear became real? Would you crumble or would you stand? What if you could face any hardship without losing yourself? You can train for this right now. Take cold showers to build resilience. Fast for a day to train discipline. Practice silence when you want to argue. Meditate on your own death, not to fear it, but to stop fearing everything else. Through suffering, you will discover this paradox. The less you need comfort, the more powerful you become. Step 4. Detaching from the illusion of control. You cannot control life. You cannot control people. You cannot control the random chaos of the universe. But you can control your response to it. The Stoics had a simple rule. Focus only on what is within your control. Everything else, let it go. When you grasp this, something incredible happens. Stress disappears. You no longer fight battles that aren't yours to fight. Fear fades. You accept uncertainty rather than resisting it. Peace arrives. You no longer cling to illusions of control. You become free. And what is freedom, if not the ability to live unaffected by anything that does not serve your highest self? The moment of truth. So now you know the way out. Observe your emotions but do not obey them. Refuse to react and you will become untouchable. Train your mind through discomfort and nothing will shake you. Focus only on what you control and you will be free. This is your rebellion. A rebellion against manipulation, against fear, against the emotional chains that have bound you for too long. But knowing is not enough. Will you act? Or will you stay in the prison, ruled by emotions that were never yours to begin with? The choice is yours. But remember this. The moment you master your emotions, you master life itself. Imagine this. You are standing at the edge of a vast, endless ocean. The wind howls. The waves crash. The sky shifts between light and darkness. And yet, amidst the chaos, the ocean remains itself. It is neither disturbed by the storm nor attached to the calm. It simply is. Now, what if you could be the same? What if, no matter what life throws at you, loss, betrayal, rejection, failure, you could stand unshaken? What if you could observe emotions as they rise and fall, without drowning in them? What if you could finally realize the ultimate truth? Here it is. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is reality. And once you grasp this, everything changes. The illusion of the self. For your entire life, you have believed that your emotions define you, that your thoughts are who you are. If you feel anger, you are angry. If you feel fear, you are afraid. If you feel lost, you are lost. But what if this is the greatest illusion of all? What if these emotions are nothing more than passing clouds in the sky of your consciousness? Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. In his meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Notice what he did not say. He did not say, control your emotions. He did not say, fight your feelings. He said, realize, because realization, not control, is the key. Control is an illusion. No one can stop emotions from arising, but you can stop identifying with them. You can let them pass just as the sky lets the clouds drift by. The end of suffering. Why do we suffer? Because we resist. We cling to pleasure, fearing its loss. We fight pain, hoping to escape it. We chase happiness, dreading its impermanence. But the Stoics knew the truth. Suffering is not caused by pain. Suffering is caused by resistance. Think about it. When you feel anger and resist it, it consumes you. When you feel sadness and fight it, it drowns you. When you feel fear and deny it, it controls you. But when you accept them as passing waves, they lose their power. Epictetus once said, if you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. And this you have the power to change. The moment you stop resisting your emotions, you stop suffering. Not because the emotions disappear, but because they no longer own you. The final test, facing the void. Now here is the ultimate test. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, but instead of seeing a face, you see nothing. No labels, no identity, no past, no future, just pure awareness. Who are you if not your name? Who are you if not your past? Who are you if not your emotions? If you dare to stare into this void long enough, a terrifying and beautiful truth emerges. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The storm will come and go. The sky remains. This is why the greatest Stoic masters were unshaken by anything. They understood that nothing could be taken from them because they had already let go of everything. The freedom you were searching for. So what now? What happens when you stop identifying with your emotions? What happens when you stop suffering? What happens when you finally grasp the ultimate truth? Simple. You become free. Free from manipulation. Free from fear. Free from the chains that have bound you your entire life. Imagine walking through life knowing that nothing, no insult, no failure, no loss, can break you. Not because you have suppressed your emotions, but because you have transcended them. The last question, will you let go? This is the final choice. You can continue living as you always have, reacting, resisting, suffering. Or you can step beyond it, observing, accepting, mastering. This is not a path for the weak. Most will cling to their suffering because suffering feels familiar. Most will continue to be controlled because control feels safe. But you now know the truth. And once you know, you cannot unknow. So the question is no longer, is it possible? The question is, will you let go? Will you drop the illusion? Will you stop resisting? Will you finally truly be free? The choice is yours. And that choice is the only thing that ever was.